My name is Shanice, and I'm here with my beautiful, talented, kind, humble self and my sister.
I saw that coming. You're so predictable.
I know, I should try something new. How are
Yes,
you?
for a
I've missed
change.
you for a few episodes. You've been a very busy mama. So, did you see the episode on firstborn daughters?
I did. I did. I didn't watch most of it because I'm not a firstborn daughter.
Oh, wow. I thought you'd watch it to understand me better since you love me so much. Here we are.
I think I already understand you a little more than I'd like. But
Oh, wow.
no, I thought it was really interesting. And I think it's also interesting to see just how many people who are firstborn daughters have such
Mhm.
similar experiences. So that was
Yes,
fascinating. And
yes.
it's nice to know that I'm not the only one with a weird sister, you know. So that's
Yeah, but I think it reminded me why we do these things, like why we share information, why we come together to share our lived experiences. And that for me is really the power of like social media and YouTube and what we do. It's that you don't feel so alone in your little cocoon, thinking you're strange and weird for your, extroverted, weird behavior. And then you realize, oh my goodness, so many people are
this
experiencing the
comes from
same
somewhere.
thing. It comes from somewhere, and there's a lot of power
Mm.
in being seen so well. But today is not about firstborns, thankfully. Nancy and I decided to take a bit of a pause and delve into some questions that we've already received. And I think just to take a pause and say, already, thank you so much for the comments, the watch. I mean, I remember Nancy and I were talking, and we're like, well, we don't, we're probably sure no one's going to watch this, but it's okay. We feel called to contribute, and that's what matters. Like our metrics are just show up and pray. And I think being able to see all these questions and all these comments, I mean, I read an entire like almost essay from someone who was just saying this is what I took from the two of you speaking, and they had like paragraph A and what it meant to them and paragraph B, and I was just overwhelmed by how helpful they found some of our experiences. So again, thank you very much. We don't take it for granted that you take time out of your day to listen, to comment, and all of that. So with that said, over to you, Nancy. I believe you have a few questions that you've received that you want us to walk through today.
Yeah, so they're actually more like topics because some people did send in topics they'd like us to touch on. So I thought we'd just do sort of a popcorn quiz and take some time answering some of them. So here are some things that some of you would like us to talk about. One, we're going to start with a really simple one because it's so easy to do, striking a balance between career and family. I was obviously being sarcastic, obviously. But this is one actually I get a lot in my inbox. I think it's something that, for obvious reasons, is on a lot of people's minds, and it's not an easy one. What are your thoughts on how you strike a balance between your career and your family?
I had a really great analogy a long time back, and Nance, this is not going to be new to you. A couple of our viewers will probably have heard it already. Is that we tend to juggle a lot of balls as women. Today, I was posting on LinkedIn, and I just realized that we are counselors slash therapists to our children. We are nutritionists. We are pharmacists. We are librarians because my kids never know where their books are. I feel like I'm running a library at times. We're logisticians. I don't know what the word is because we do all the logistics at home. We organize everybody's diary. People are dropping balls, but you get the picture. You're doing so many things in the home. And if you're like many, many women, we don't want to do things by half. So half the time we find ourselves watching videos on Instagram, reading books, and we actually want to become good at these things, right? Should my children be eating cereal every morning before they go to school? Where's the nutrition in that? And now you start to, now you have to give them
I'm
protein.
tired of Googling recipes for
Yes, yeah, and people don't
for
understand.
for toddlers.
Exactly. People don't understand the amount of, I mean, we call what we call it, the mental load, right? The mental load on you because at some point you feel like it's your responsibility, and if it falls apart, it's on you. So you're all these things at home, then you have to be a whole ton of things at work. And then you have to be a whole ton of things in your marriage. I mean, Nancy, you've taught me a lot as well about marriage, about how we see ourselves and how we now have to make space for someone else and their point of view of us and reckon with that. Now imagine someone dealing with all of this. So the analogy I heard was that you're always going to be juggling balls, the family ball, the work, friends ball, and the daughter ball, because also you're someone's daughter. And I know a lot of people are responsible for like family vacations and when people get together and things like this, it's a lot. And the best analogy I heard was that you're juggling all these balls. Some will drop and bounce back because they're made of rubber, and some will fall and break because they're made of glass. Your job is to figure out which ones are the glass ones, that if they fall, you can't redeem them, and just be okay with the fact that it will be messy. And that at times you'll give 80% at work and 20% at home, and at times it will be the reverse, where you're giving 80% at home and 20 at work. But it's never, ever going to be a perfect balance. And that's been my experience, is that at times I'm kicking butt at work, and at times I'm just terrible in my relationship. It's never an even keel. Do you experience it any differently?
I love that analogy, and I think it dovetails perfectly with the thing that helped me the most in thinking about this, because you do feel a sort of pressure to be great at everything and to be winning at work, to be winning at home, to have the perfect, clean, tidy home, the healthy child who laughs every 2.5 seconds because that's a measure of, I don't know. But,
And has perfectly coiffed hair.
and you know what I really don't like when it comes to this? Instagram. Oh my goodness. Because every
Yes.
time you scroll, you will see
Yeah.
some woman who is spending 40 minutes making this perfect balanced smoothie from a
Pasta
child
from
with chia
scratch.
seeds.
Or the ones who are like ironing their husband's shirts in the morning and packing him his little breakfast to go in little.
And you threw a mackerel at your husband that morning and said, you know what, you'll be fine. Or whatever it was. And
Yeah.
that really adds to the pressure. And then just after that, you'll scroll down and see someone who bounced back beautifully after they'd had 3 children. And
Yeah.
you'll look at your pants, which are staring at you accusingly, and think, oh, well, I'm not winning there. And then you'll scroll down a little further and see someone who's just got a promotion, and you'll think, well, I'm definitely not winning there. And so there's all these invitations to feel like you're dropping all the balls, like you said. And the thing that really helped me, it's a really simple thought, but it's just you can do everything you want to do, just not at the same
Just not
time.
at the same time.
And that to me is so freeing. And I think it's a lot like what you're saying about juggling the balls. Some are going to drop, and you have to decide in this season of my life, which balls am I okay dropping because they will bounce back. Career is a ball you can drop and it will bounce back. I say that with confidence because I believe that what you put your mind to,
Yes.
you can achieve. So if you decide, I'm going to take a step back and come in and find a way to make it work, I believe you can.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are situations in which you may not come back exactly the way you hoped or to exactly the role you hoped because that's not possible. But there are ways, endless ways to pivot with a career, which is why I like to think of it as a career landscape rather than a career ladder. It's not just up and down, it's hills, valleys, troughs, all sorts of movement you can have with your career. If you drop your ball with your child in the first 3 years of their life, is that going to bounce
Not
back?
bouncing back. Glass
Maybe
ball.
not. Maybe not. So that may be a glass ball, like you said. And you can do all these things, but not at the same time. So I think there's probably a lot of synergy in what we're saying about work-life balance. I'm not sure it exists. I just think it's a pendulum swing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it swings
You're
to
swinging
work.
from one to the other.
Sometimes it swings to home and that needs more attention. But for the love of God, don't try to do it all and be perfect, is what I tell myself. Because you just can't, and you put too much pressure on yourself. And often, you see people talk about these amazing women who are doing all this stuff, But we don't often talk about the help they have, the support systems they have. Maybe one has a super supportive husband, maybe one has a team of nannies
Yeah.
and a glam squad. And we don't often talk about, okay, so that's great, but how did you do it? Who was helping you? Some people have mothers who come over and take over looking after the kids. So when you start to compare your situation with that of somebody who has a lot more support, again, it's not very helpful. So
Mm.
I think that's what I would say about work-life balance. It doesn't really exist. You just have to
Doesn't exist.
focus
Don't
on one
aim
thing at a
for it.
time.
But I would say yes, to wrap that one up, broaden your horizons, read,
Mm,
consume info. Because I realize that sometimes we're very limited in our views simply because we don't expose ourselves to other ways of doing things. It's only now people are beginning to realize, oh, we can make money in so many other ways, right? Other than a 9 to 5. So, but I like what you say.
mm.
Yeah, not to belabor the point, but yeah.
Yeah, there's more ways, I think, now than ever to be flexible with your careers. I've managed to take a career break to just be with my child, and that's a huge privilege. There's not, I think some years ago that may have not been a thing, but yeah, there's much more, I think, understanding now of that sort of thing. Okay, here's another question. What do you do when you're in a waiting season in God?
You wait.
So, wow, can we write that down? That's so insightful and helpful.
Okay, someone is on aboard the sarcasm helicopter today.
No,
When
seriously though.
maybe explain the question better, like, oh, maybe
Yeah,
how you
okay. So
construct it. Does that mean?
how we've talked about different seasons in life. So sometimes you're just in a waiting season where nothing's really moving. You're hoping for
Mm,
something. And
hmm.
I know I've had a lot of conversations about this, for instance, with people who are waiting for the right person because they want to get
Yep.
married. So
Yeah.
they're in a waiting season there, or who are waiting for a promotion, or waiting for something significant to happen in their lives. I think the
Mm,
question is about how do you manage that? Because there is this interesting balance between hope for tomorrow and
hmm.
living in today, which can be quite hard when you're waiting, because there is perhaps a desire to want to live in tomorrow because that's what you're hoping for and not really enjoy today.
This is a tough one because I went through a very long period of waiting as well. I'm talking more than 5 years for something that I was really praying to God to give me answers, no answers, to at least give me direction, no direction, just chaos, confusion. And I don't think I handled it very well, being quite open and honest. But if in hindsight, if I could share anything, it's that over time, I've strengthened my muscles so much because of that waiting period. And when I say muscle, I also mean my dependence on God, my reliance on God, my trust in Him. Because someone once said that, when you're stripped of everything and you're standing in a space where you have no other options, that's when your relationship with God can really become solid. Because there's nothing else for you to hang on to. And I think it's interesting that for me, in that waiting period, I was angry with God.
Hmm.
And someone said, don't worry, God's a big boy. He can take it. He can take your anger. You're not the first, you're not the last. Even if you're in your waiting period and you're frustrated and you're saying to God, why me? Like, don't hide your emotions from Him. We can already see them, first of all. So, no surprises for Him. But I think there's something about that honesty and that outpouring that also allows you to feel freer in that period. So if you say, for example, I've been waiting for a husband for 9 years, God, and there's nothing, and I'm bitter or I'm angry or whatever, take it to Him. Tell Him exactly how you feel, because pretending it doesn't exist and continuing to be that holier than thou, I'm still waiting for God, but actually you're silently bitter, will not allow you to release it. Because I feel like when I released it, I was actually able to be happy in the waiting. And that's hard because you can't wait for 10 years and postpone your life for 10 years. What even is that? There's still other aspects of those 10 years that are good.
Hmm.
There are friendships, there are learnings. Maybe you're not ready for a relationship. Maybe you need to work on yourself. Well, like look in the mirror and say, like, if my dream person found me now, am I worth finding?
Ooh,
And maybe
she
it's
went there.
like that, you know, and we're sitting there thinking the other person needs to come and heal me, complete me. I've always said this. It's only at the point where you don't need love that at times you find it. It's only at the times where, because God has already filled that hole for you. And everything else is bonus. It's like, oh, it's like a burger with the meat and the bun and oh, the garnish on top is just a nice addition. But I could very well be just fulfilled by the burger itself. And I think that's the hardest thing about the weight is that you have to really ask God to get you over that hump of woe is me to my goodness, all is perfect in his time. And you genuinely feel it. You're not just saying it because if I don't say it, maybe God will punish me and not give me the one. Like you have to be honest about how you're feeling. So
Mm.
for me, it's just that. It's a very sort of spiritual answer. Maybe it's not very helpful, but you have to give it to God because I don't think you can get over it by yourself. It's I saw somewhere someone said the problem with you people is you think you're smarter than God. And some of us Christians actually do. We think we're smarter, we think we're better, so we marry the wrong people because we have the answers and it's time. And God is just looking at you like, well, did God really put this together? Or did you put it together in like your own, you know? Of course, there's a whole school of thought that nothing is ever wrong, and even the things that we get into that are wrong are there to teach us. But I won't go down that rabbit hole. What do you think? Because I feel like I've just meandered in so many different ways there, but
No, I think what you've said makes sense. And yeah, I think just on that last one, because that's in my mind, I think the reason things don't end up being wrong is because God makes everything beautiful rather than the thing not actually being wrong. But he fixes and saves everything. Nothing is irredeemable with him. But in the waiting, it's interesting because I was speaking to a friend who has been waiting to find the right person. And something she said in the conversation really stayed with me because, you know, she was at that place where she was starting to get, you know, a little upset with God. You know, I've
done everything right.
I've done everything right. Yes. Followed instructions. Why is this not happening? And, you know, I completely understand that. And my heart really goes out to anybody in that situation. I know it's not an easy place to be. But while I was in the shower, which for some reason is where I get all my revelations,
There's a
I had
biological
this
reason for
picture.
that. Ask me later.
I knew you would say that. Oh, is it something about you
Okay, all
being
right.
in one place and
Continue.
not needing to think about anything else and not actively doing anything other than
No,
scrub your body?
it's actually about the water, but I'll discuss it later.
Here she goes again. Okay. But yes, so while I was in the shower, I just had this picture because I was thinking about waiting on God. And it occurred to me that there are two distinct ways in which we can wait on God. You can either have a bus mentality, a bus stop mentality, or a chauffeur mentality. So let me explain.
Sounds
When you're waiting on God with a bus stop mentality, this is you. You say, God, I'm at this bus stop. I am waiting for you to find me here. So the bus needs to come to this exact stop. This is where I am. Find me here. Don't be late now. Don't be late now.
and don't go to Idaho. I don't
And
know why I
don't.
said that, but
What
anyway.
is that? Oh, you crack me up sometimes. It's so random. But yes, so that's basically the mindset. You've
Yeah.
decided what you want. You've decided you want to be married at this age. You want the husband to look like this. This should be his height, and this is how it should
Got it.
go. And you're saying,
Yeah.
God, this is what I want. Find me here.
That's
I'm at
so
this bus stop.
powerful. Yeah.
And then
So we're
you're
fixated on
constantly
a or we're
upset
fixated on a particular outcome, right? Like it
on
must
a,
look like this.
yes, a very
Yeah, I get
specific
that.
outcome.
Yeah.
And that's not asking. If you think about it, if you're
That's
asking
telling.
God, it means yes. If you're asking, really asking, it means there's yes, no, wait. Those are all possible answers. But some of us say, God is not responding to me. Maybe he has. Maybe his answer was no or wait.
Come on, that's
But
harsh now.
I know, I'm sorry. But you know, facts is facts, as they say. But you know, when you ask, you kind of have to check whether you're really in the mindset of asking, whether you're really okay with the answer being no or wait. Because if you're not okay with that, then you're not actually asking. You're telling God, this is what you want and this is how you need to do it. So anyway, so that's the bus stop mentality. And I think a lot of us, and I've been there, I've seen myself in that, which is why this was very vivid for me. I've seen when I had the bus stop mentality. But then where we need to switch to is the chauffeur mentality. So imagine a chauffeur waiting for his boss. Maybe his boss is at a restaurant eating or something. He sits in the car, he waits patiently. When the boss comes out, says, "Where do you want us to go?" Boss gets in the car and they go, right? So his attitude is of looking and waiting. He's sitting patiently, he's looking, he's not sure where the boss is going to say, "Let's go," but his attitude is expectant. He's saying, "I know you're going to show up, I know you're going to come out, and you'll tell me where to go, and it will be exactly where we need to go." And I think that's the right attitude for waiting, because waiting on God means you're not forcing him into a particular outcome. You are saying, "Your will be done." In the same way that Jesus prayed, "Lord, I'd love for you to take this cup of suffering for me. That's what I would really want. But nevertheless, your will be done. Not my will, but yours." And I think that's the approach we need to have. Lord, I would love to have a husband who looks exactly like this and has eyelashes that come up to here and is this tall, and I'd love for us to meet in the next year and for it to go like this. Nevertheless, your will be done. And so that's the attitude I think that is more healthy with waiting, but it's also a lot harder, isn't it?
It is so difficult. And I think it's even more difficult in an Instagram age that talks about manifestation. And close your eyes and imagine him exactly the way you want him. Make a list. Go on a Christian dating site. Note I said Christian. And put yourself out there, because God helps those who help themselves, which isn't in the Bible, right? Right. Yeah, it's not. But there is a big mentality now, and I would even call it a movement of you are the creator. You are the person who can make your dreams come true. And I think, like most half truths, it's a half truth. There is an element of truth in that. I think it's just striking me now as you talk about the chauffeur that is your job. You are the creator in that sense, your obedience, your submission to his will, even though you can say this is what I would like, but let's see what you say is good for me. There's sort of that order of things. I don't know if that makes sense. Like
Mm.
the revelation I'm having
So,
as you were speaking is that there's an order to this. Sorry, you were going to chime in with something
no,
there.
sorry to jump in. No, I was just going to say, because the Bible says you do not have what you ask. You do not have because you do not ask. There are two reasons. One, you do not ask. Two, you do not ask you do not ask right? You ask amiss, meaning that you may ask, but if you're asking amiss, there is a certain alignment that needs to happen. And I think that's where you're talking about it. So our creating is not in originating, it's in aligning. It's in when we align with God and his purpose, then he's able to bring what he already planned to pass, which is why he gives us the desires of our heart, right? In the sense that we don't desire something and then he gives it to us. He gives us literally
Gives
what
us
to
the
desire.
desire. And I
Yes, he
think
says
that's
this
so
is what you should
powerful
desire.
because, yeah, a long time ago I heard that God doesn't give you a desire that you cannot fulfill. Like, why would He give you that desire if He also did not give you either the people, the capacity, the opportunities? But because we are misaligned, we kind of miss it at times. And I think there's always this pull as to, there's a lot of determinism about ourselves lately. And I think the evolution of the human species is that we've created now so much flying cars, talking robots, that we're almost beginning to think that we are the creator, which is funny because I think we've seen instances of human beings having this level of hubris, right, where they feel they're akin to God. And it's weird that it feels it's going in that direction where, again, I am a believer in sort of, I'm very action oriented. Nancy knows this. I am do first, think later. So I'm very much a believer in taking things into my own hands, but I have been humbled to a point where, like, Jesus, God, me. And I think that is really, truly when you realize the extent to which we know very little. We really know, like, our own understanding is so limited. You don't know why you're waiting. You truly don't.
Mm, mm,
Your
mm.
thinking capacity is ending here. You don't know what's in store for you. You don't know what. But submitting yourself to his will is the most freeing thing because you can do your thing. You can go about your life, even go on those dating sites. Please do whatever you need to do. But I think when you spiritually align yourself, even the desire to do certain things is gone. Like to fight for things. There came a point in my life where I just stopped fighting. It's my right. I have to fight for this. I have to fight for that. I'm like, let it go. And everyone thinks you're an idiot. Like, no, this is your right. You worked for this. And I'm like, no. If they want to take it, let them take it. We shall see where we end up. And I tell you, the doors God opens, you could never imagine or write that script by yourself. It's just not possible. And I think that's the kind of faith that, again, He also gives you that faith. It doesn't come from you. People ask, what do I do? Should I kneel? Should I pray 10 times a day? Just ask. Because, like Nancy says, the first thing is you don't ask. Ask for the wisdom. Ask for the patience. Ask for Him to reveal it to you. Ask Him. Say, why am I still waiting, Lord? But as I wait, I will be joyful. Because you say, be joyful like always, right? Rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. And these things, I think, Nancy, are always so simple that we say it can't be. I know I used to do that. I'm like, surely no. There has to be a harder way. I want the
Must be a
tough way.
hack.
I want the biohack or I want the instant hack. I want the hard way to do this, please, because I don't believe it easy. It can't be that easy. But again, like you said, it's not right because it actually ironically takes a lot to put down our own belief in ourselves and that we're not doing something right. And to
And
sit back and
that's
say,
where the work is, right? We mistake where the work is. We think the work is in, I don't have enough faith. I'm not praying enough. I'm not praying right. I haven't gone to enough overnights. I haven't read the right books. That's not where the work is. The work is in surrender. It's in
yep,
really saying to God, this thing does not have me more than you do. This thing is secondary to you. This thing is, and all these things shall be added. It's an addition. But what I'm really after, what I'm really looking for is you. What I'm really pursuing is you.
yeah.
And of course, you may look at us and think, oh, you guys are saying this because you're married and it's easy for you to say. I don't think I can speak for you because you got married quite young in my book. But
32 is young. I was over the hill according to our father. He was willing to like marry me off to anybody who'd have me at that point.
so you can imagine what he thought of me at 38. Waited long enough. But yeah, I know what the wait is like. And I think for me, the freedom came just from submitting it to God and saying, if it happens, great. If it doesn't, that's also great. Because above all, I am pursuing you. And all these things are additions. And I think you've got to have the same attitude for career, for anything in life, really. It can't come before God. We're making
No.
idols sometimes out of careers
Our
and
desires,
marriage
our needs.
and that
Yes,
our
yes,
desires and treating God like some kind of ATM where if I put the right input, I should get out the
yeah.
result that everyone promises me. But I don't think that's how God works.
I totally agree. And I think the biggest lesson I learned is this is that in honoring and loving myself, I was honoring and loving God. That's a lesson I really had to learn. I was looking for love in all the wrong places. And a lot of women are doing this. They are broken, something is missing inside. And so the marriage becomes a symbol of you're okay. Society can accept you. You're good. So if you don't get married, it's continuously an indictment on you that you're not okay. And I think that's the challenge. That's why we get into bad relationships. We ignore red flags because to be single, nobody wants
To be
you.
fair,
Something is
people
wrong with
don't
you.
help. I mean, I used to get comments on my Instagram. Imagine you've just done this amazing thing and you've won something, and someone's first comment is, when are you getting married?
Yes, and it can be hard to sort of cancel that noise. And I think maybe in another episode, because I think we're at time for this one, but I really want us to delve into there's a big growing movement, especially on YouTube now, of a sentiment around it's better to be single, right? And a lot of this is also coming from women who are tired of waiting, but also women who have gotten into the trap of getting married for the wrong reasons, struggled through a bad marriage, and come out the other end and said, "Ooh, I'm so much better by myself." But I do think God intended for us to be in union, and He intended for us to learn amazing lessons about ourselves and to contribute to healthy families that are husband and wife and all of these good things. I am not advocating for people in bad marriages to stay in bad marriages. No. categorically no. But I am just saying that at some point I would love for us to chat through that because I think that's such a big area of struggle for many women who, for religious reasons, are staying in relationships where they are actually married but separated. Their husbands have been single for the last 10 years, but they've been married for 15 years. It's a pandemic, an epidemic. But anyway, that's not for today. Do we
Yeah.
have any more questions? Are we done? But that was a
Well,
good one.
we're at time. We're at time. But yes, I mean that would be an interesting topic to get into, especially this idea that marriage is there to make us happy rather than what the author had in mind, which is it is there to make us holy. And there is that, I think, coming into play. But that's all for another
But
day.
should marriage not make you happy?
It can.
Should you not be happy in the marriage? Struggles aside, and but anyway, now we're segueing.
There should
As you
be,
can say,
yes,
I
we're getting
disagree
into
with
it.
that.
No, there absolutely will be moments of happiness and there will be deep happiness, but is that the purpose? Just like,
TBD.
yeah, to be discussed. But we'd love to hear from you. We only managed to make it through a grand total of what, 2 questions?
2 questions. Wow. Yeah,
But
you talk too much. Clearly.
okay. I'm sure if we get AI to go through this transcript, we may find different. But we both talk too much. We'd love to hear from you. It's great to get your questions. Feels more like we're having a conversation with you. So do let us know if there's anything else you'd like us to touch on. And thanks for watching. We really appreciate it. We'll see you next time.
Bye. God bless.
Bye.